What if I told you that somewhere, hidden in the shadows of history, there exists a book so powerful, so profound, that it claims to unveil the greatest mystery of all? What happens when we die? A book that was not meant for ordinary eyes, but for those ready to transcend illusion and see beyond the veil. Could these lost teachings be fragments of a greater, now-hidden book? One that once described the afterlife in detail, only to be suppressed, destroyed, or buried in secrecy. Imagine for a moment, your final breath escapes, the weight of your body fades, and in that instant, reality fractures. A tunnel of light, an endless void, the reunion of souls, or something far stranger. Throughout time, cultures and mystics have whispered of a sacred text, a map of the afterlife that has been lost, buried, or deliberately hidden. A book that doesn't just speculate, but describes in detail the journey beyond death, revealing what awaits us on the other side. Is it a forgotten scripture, an ancient manuscript, or a work of divine revelation erased from history? Could it be connected to the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or perhaps a missing gospel that speaks of death in ways we were never meant to know? And more importantly, what does it say? Tonight we embark on a journey through forgotten pages, lost wisdom, and the echoes of those who have glimpsed the other side. Prepare to enter the unknown, because what you are about to hear may change the way you see life, death, and everything in between. Throughout history, humanity has been obsessed with the afterlife. From the pharaohs of Egypt, preparing for the duat, to the shamans of indigenous tribes journeying beyond the veil, every civilization has sought answers to the same question: what happens after death? But among these traditions, there are whispers of a text, one that goes beyond myths and metaphors. A book that claims to provide an actual guide for the soul's journey, a map of the unseen realms. Could such a book have existed? And if so, where did it go? Could these lost teachings be fragments of a greater, now hidden book? One that once described the afterlife in detail, only to be suppressed, destroyed, or buried in secrecy? And if so, why? Perhaps because true knowledge of the afterlife would shatter illusions. It would render religious institutions powerless, breaking the cycle of fear that has kept humanity in spiritual bondage for millennia. If one truly knew what awaited after death, if it was possible to navigate that transition with full awareness, what would that mean for the world of the living? Hidden within the vaults of the Vatican, concealed in ancient underground libraries, or waiting to be rediscovered in forgotten ruins, this lost book may still exist. And even if it has been erased from physical history, its wisdom lingers in the words of mystics, the experiences of near-death survivors, and the sacred knowledge passed down through secret traditions. But what does this forbidden wisdom actually say? What happens in those first moments after the soul departs the body? The answers may be closer than we think. Imagine this: your final breath fades into silence, your body grows weightless, and suddenly, reality itself begins to dissolve. For a fleeting moment, there is nothing but stillness, an emptiness so vast that it defies comprehension. Then a shift, something stirs in the darkness. According to the whispers of lost teachings, the transition after death is not an abrupt ending, but a passage, one that unfolds in stages. The lost book, if it truly existed, would not merely describe an afterlife of reward or punishment, but a process, a structured journey through realms of consciousness. Many ancient traditions speak of this passage in different ways. Some scholars believe that remnants of this lost knowledge still linger in fragmented forms. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, the Gnostic Apocryphon of John, and even hidden verses of the Bible that were removed or rewritten. Yet these texts only offer pieces of the puzzle. They describe visions of light and shadow, of judgment and rebirth, but none claim to fully unveil the mechanics of the afterlife itself. But there are clues, hints scattered across time, like echoes of a forgotten revelation. Ancient mystery schools, from the Pythagoreans to the Essenes, spoke of the art of dying, a process through which the soul consciously navigates its passage beyond the physical world. Hermetic teachings suggest that the afterlife is not a fixed destination, but a layered experience, shifting based on one's spiritual state at the moment of death. The Cathars, an enigmatic Christian sect, wiped out by the Church, believed in a doctrine so radical that it threatened the very foundations of religious power, a belief that death was merely a transition to higher planes of existence, governed by knowledge, not blind faith. The Bardo Thodol tells us that the soul first encounters a brilliant, all-encompassing light, the pure essence of reality, the cosmic mirror. In that moment, absolute truth is revealed. Some will embrace it and merge with the infinite, dissolving into enlightenment. Others, overwhelmed by the intensity, will recoil, drawn instead into familiar illusions, the echoes of the life they just left behind. The Egyptian Book of the Dead describes a similar concept, the weighing of the heart. A soul stands before the scales, its heart measured against the feather of Ma'at, the cosmic principle of truth. But what if this weighing is not a judgment by external gods, but an internal reckoning? What if the soul, upon death, is confronted with the full weight of its own actions, its own self-perception? The Lost Book, it is said, describes these experiences not as allegory, but as literal states of consciousness. The moment after death is a threshold where thought becomes form, where the mind's deepest truths manifest as external realities. To the unprepared, this can be terrifying, dreamlike landscapes shifting with every fleeting emotion. To the awakened, it is an opportunity, a chance to shape one's own transition with full awareness. There are references, scattered fragments, that suggest this knowledge was once widely understood. The Gnostic texts speak of archons, deceptive entities that attempt to ensnare the departing soul in illusions of earthly attachment. Certain indigenous traditions warn of false guides, spirits that masquerade as ancestors but seek to bind the soul to lower realms. And in the mystical traditions of Sufism and Kabbalah, there are teachings of luminous realms, planes of existence accessible only to those who have cultivated inner clarity in life. But the Lost Book goes deeper. It is said to contain precise instructions, rituals, incantations, meditative techniques to navigate these realms with intention, to move beyond the illusions, to choose one's next destination rather than being dragged along by past karma or unconscious fears. Could it be that the afterlife is not a place, but a state of being, a shifting, fluid experience molded by the very consciousness of the one who enters it? If this is true, then death is not an end, but a beginning, a chance to reclaim ultimate sovereignty over the soul's journey. Yet, if such knowledge once existed, it begs the question, why was it hidden? Who had access to it? And most importantly, where did it go? If the Lost Book truly existed, it would be more than just a description of the afterlife. It would be a manual for the soul, a precise step-by-step guide designed to help the departed navigate the unseen realms with full awareness. But what exactly did it reveal? Some believe this book described the 7 gates of the afterlife, each representing a stage of purification and transcendence. Others claim it contained the sacred names, vibrational keys that allowed the soul to pass unhindered through barriers of illusion. In esoteric traditions, names hold power. To know the true name of a thing is to command it. If the afterlife is a realm shaped by consciousness, could such names act as passwords, keys to higher dimensions? There are echoes of this idea across multiple cultures. The Egyptians spoke of the Book of Gates, where the soul must call out the correct words to progress. The Gnostic scriptures warn of false realities, suggesting that only those who remember the secret names will escape the lower realms. Even in Christian Apocrypha, there are hidden texts that speak of the path of light, a way of ascending beyond the material world through knowledge rather than faith alone. The Lost Book may have revealed something even more profound. What if the afterlife is not a singular experience, but a fractal, a multidimensional existence where each soul encounters a reality tailored to its own vibration? If so, then the afterlife is not fixed. It shifts, transforms, and bends to the consciousness that perceives it. Those weighed down by fear, guilt, or attachment may find themselves trapped in looping illusions. realms indistinguishable from waking life, yet subtly off, like a dream that cannot be escaped. Those who die in peace, with clarity and inner mastery, may ascend to realms of light, wisdom, and infinite creation. And then there are those who learn to move freely between worlds. Mystical traditions speak of beings who have transcended the cycle of rebirth, masters of consciousness who have unlocked the ability to choose their next incarnation or move beyond it entirely. If the lost book existed, it may have contained instructions on how to achieve this. Not through blind belief, but through practical techniques, mental, energetic, and vibrational mastery that allowed the soul to remain lucid after death, bypassing the illusions that trap so many. Perhaps this is why the knowledge was hidden. Consider the implications. If death is not a final judgment, not a one-way path to heaven or hell, but instead a state of consciousness that we shape, then the power to determine our destiny lies not in the hands of gods, but within us. And if humanity truly understood this, how would it change the world? Religious institutions built on fear would crumble. The power dynamics that keep people obedient, submissive, and uncertain would collapse. The greatest secret of all, the truth that we are not helpless in the face of death, would be exposed. Is it possible that this knowledge was deliberately erased? That the lost book still exists, locked away in hidden archives, safeguarded by those who wish to keep humanity in spiritual ignorance? And yet, fragments of its wisdom remain. In ancient manuscripts, in the whispered teachings of initiates, in the stories of those who have touched the other side and returned. But how can we apply this knowledge? If we no longer fear death, how do we prepare for it? And more importantly, how do we use this wisdom to transform the way we live? If the afterlife isn't a fixed place, but a shifting state of consciousness, then preparation for it doesn't begin at the moment of death. It begins now. What we carry within us in life, we carry into the next world. And if the lost book ever existed, it likely held teachings not just on death, but on how to prepare for it while still alive. Even though the book itself may be lost, its wisdom still echoes through ancient traditions. And if we listen carefully, we can begin to understand how to apply it. First, lucid awareness training. Many spiritual traditions teach that lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences are practice for the afterlife. Think about it. When you're in a dream, do you realize it? Or do you simply go along with whatever happens? If you can recognize a dream while you're in it, then perhaps in death you can recognize that you've passed and take control of the experience instead of being pulled into illusion. Here's how you can train your awareness. Before bed, repeat this phrase: "When I dream, I will know I am dreaming." Throughout the day, ask yourself, is this a dream? The habit will carry over into sleep. Keep a dream journal. Record symbols, encounters, and emotions. Over time, patterns will emerge. The more aware you are in dreams, the more aware you may be in death. Next, letting go of attachments. What holds the soul back after death? Fear, regret, unfinished emotions. The lost book likely emphasized detachment, not as avoidance, but as freedom. To practice this now, reflect on your fears about death. What unfinished business ties you to this world? Meditate on impermanence. Watch your breath. Watch thoughts come and go. See that all things pass, and yet something remains. Write down what you need to let go of. Then burn the paper. As the smoke rises, imagine yourself becoming lighter, freer. True detachment doesn't mean rejecting life. It means embracing it fully, without chains. Now, energy and vibration. If the afterlife is shaped by frequency, then the state of your energy at death determines where you go. Love, peace, gratitude, these create higher realms. Fear, anger, guilt, these pull the soul into denser realities. To raise your energy now, practice Qigong, breathwork, or chanting to refine your internal vibration. Try light meditation. Visualize yourself bathed in pure, radiant light. Imagine merging with it. Use sacred sound. Certain frequencies, like the solfeggio tones, are believed to awaken higher states of consciousness. By tuning your energy in life, you shape your destination in death. The power of words and intention. Many ancient texts say names hold power. Some believe that in the afterlife, knowing the right words acts like a password, a key that unlocks higher realms. To prepare, choose a departure mantra, a phrase that will anchor your soul beyond this world. I am light, I return to the source. Guide me beyond illusion to the highest truth, or a personal sacred name. Visualize the afterlife you choose. Imagine your consciousness moving toward that reality with full intention. Because a clear destination prevents the wandering of an unprepared soul. And finally, living with awareness. The greatest preparation for death is to live fully. Because if death is just a continuation of consciousness, then the way we think, feel, and act right now is shaping our afterlife. So, how will you live? Will you make choices from fear or from wisdom? Will you cling to illusion or seek truth? Will you let life pass you by, or will you awaken to every moment? The answer to the afterlife may not be written in a lost book. It may be written within you, right now. The lost book that describes the afterlife, does it still exist? Or was it erased, hidden away? Its wisdom scattered across forgotten traditions? Maybe the real question isn't where the book went, but why it was lost in the first place. Think about it. If death is not a final judgment, not a one-way path to heaven or hell, but a journey we have the power to navigate, what does that mean? It means the greatest illusion is fear. The ancient masters understood this. They didn't fear death, they prepared for it. They knew that the afterlife is shaped by consciousness, by energy, by awareness. That's why they practiced lucid dreaming, breathwork, meditation, not for survival, but for liberation. And so I leave you with one final question. If you knew, without a doubt, that you could shape your afterlife, how would you live today? Would you let go of old fears? Would you refine your energy, your thoughts, your actions? Would you wake up from illusion before it's too late? Perhaps the real lesson of the lost book is not just about death. It's about life, because in the end, they are one and the same. If this journey into the unknown has resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had an experience that made you question what happens after death? And if you could prepare for what comes next, how would you begin? Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and never stop exploring the mysteries of existence.